May 2nd, 2015, and I'm sitting here with Geoff iNcontroL Robinson. He was very kind to stop by. This is early morning for his time over in California, and he stopped by to just have a little chit chat, give you guys some entertainment. And I like doing these one-on-one interviews. He's actually the second one we've done. So without further ado, Geoff, what's going on, man? How you been?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, glad to have you. Always glad to have you, especially on the show. So let's start with you in gaming. It's a little cliche, but it's always kind of important. Were you a gamer in general before you came into esports?
Oh yeah, and I think it's not the chicken and the egg type question. I think that's a must. Most people are, well, I mean, I guess there are some people I guess that could be like, I'm not a gamer at all, but then I saw those kids playing games and I just wanted to be a part of it. But for most people like myself, esports wasn't really even a thing. I was, 12 years old. I was playing Math Blaster, Battle Chess, GoldenEye, Mario Kart, Red Alert, Command and Conquer,
Hmm.
Gold Edition, like just whatever I get my hands on. It was really Warcraft 2 that super turned me on to RTSs. It was just some combination of that Blizzard magic and the fun and strategy of a real-time strategy game really captured me. And then, of course, when PC Gamer showed the sneak peek of the alpha of StarCraft, I saw Warcraft in space, and that was it because I've always been a sci-fi junkie. So the rest is history.
Did you? So how old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay. So now it makes sense. I just started reading like PC gamer and all that stuff. I think StarCraft had already been out, so I,
Yeah,
I assume you must have been a little older than me. Real quick, talking about that Blizzard Magic. Did you ever play World of Warcraft?
I played about a day of World of Warcraft, and it was the beta where it was free.
Uh huh.
When it first came out, I had always liked to play RPGs, which is, it was based on that
Hmm.
essentially. And of course, it was blown up into an online MMORPG, which is not, they didn't invent that concept, but
Right.
there's a lot of buzz around it. Anytime Blizzard makes any game, a lot of people are talking about it. It was pretty fun, but it is one of those games that rewards the more time you spend with it, even then in the beta. And it was limited. The beta didn't have like level 30. It was, I think you could play the first 10 levels or something like, or you get up to level 10, excuse
Hmm.
me. And I didn't even do that. I just played for a day and was like, that's pretty fun, but
Not your thing.
it's not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was addicted to WoW once upon a time. I had a small break for work and then came back in the middle of the Mists of Pandaria. Didn't really dig it too much, so I left that behind because that's about the time I found StarCraft. But let's use that as a segue to talk about when you found competitive StarCraft. Were you competitive on the ladder during Brood War?
Before Brood War, I'm just a very competitive person. Everything I do, I want to, like, what drives me to be more interested and have fun with it is to be competitive. I do play single player games, but those are more like a chill, relaxed, calm or like fun experience thing as opposed to I'm all about this. This is everything that I want in a game.
Hmm.
That's just not who I am. The games that really grab me for years on end are the competitive ones. So at the beginning, it wasn't like I got in and I was like, well, I'm going pro at this. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It was nothing like that at all. It was more like, oh my God, there's a ladder system. I hit 1300 on the online Blizzard maintained ladder system. That's incredible. All of a sudden, your rank is golden in StarCraft. Like the backdrop behind the 1300 becomes gold. Whoa. And then 1400, now that's when really good players are. And 1500, oh, those are legendary. 1600, and so on and so forth. There's always something to chase, and
Hmm.
each level took a lot of work and took a lot of practice. And you got there by the skin of your teeth, is what you felt like each time. Of course, you're just getting better at the game. So and around that there was teams, and if you were one of the four guys in your team that was 1400 or 1500, that was incredible. And this is before it was overran with bots and hacks. So for a lot of people it's inconceivable, but for me, I remember this. um, and I remember when it started to happen where it was like, oh, this guy has 146 wins, 0 losses, and 100 disconnects, so he's cheating.
Hmm.
And then that was kind of, he was like, those people were the herald of the end times for the ladder. Then all of a sudden there were bots with all these names and they were ridiculous. And then about that time is when PGT came out, which was a Russian made hack free ladder that kind of gave the similar experience, and the highest rank there was the gold or the Olympic rings, which I never got, of course. But that was a lot of fun, and that's really what kind of toked the flame was even just vanilla StarCraft and then Brood War, and it was really the community and teams that drove me. WCG is the one that kind of made internet not even international, excuse me, but like travel conceivable. And I took my first few trips because of WCG for gaming, and I would say that was when being competitive online became something more. Again, still, people weren't really getting paid except for like five Europeans. So nobody was playing to get rich or to get paid or to do it for a living. They were just taking it to the next level, kind of like a ladder at
Right.
each step.
So let's talk about that competitive spirit. One thing I've seen you talk a lot about is that you were a debater in high school.
Hmm.
Which debate did you do?
Well, I kind of debated in high school, but it was so disorganized that I don't really attribute that much to it. It was more like I went to an all guys high school in Seattle called O'Day,
Okay.
and that was like it was fairly educational, but mostly we just kind of went into debates as a giant mob of people and heckled the other team until we won. It was more college where I did parliamentary debate that it became anything that I would be proud of.
Okay.
Was fairly successful, won several tournaments, was fairly highly acclaimed. Nothing super amazing, but I was pretty damn good for basically. It was a reflection of my education as well. Like I put a lot of work into it, but I definitely could have put a lot more work into it. I relied heavily on natural ability and um, bullshit essentially. But I will say that I think I learned more in debate, and it gave more to me than my entire college education. And that's not to slander my efforts there or Oregon State. It's more just how beneficial being on a team like that is, and it's a big part of the reason why I feel like I've had success even in esports as far as being able to talk on camera and that kind of thing. So it's huge.
Yeah, I can definitely see the translation of that skill and the bullshit. I tell you what, man. My friend Zach was in. I did high school debate, and my friend Zach
Hmm.
was in. I can't Lincoln Douglas debate,
Lincoln Douglas,
and
1v1, yeah.
yeah, and he would not prepare at all, but he'd win tournaments because he had that gift of gab and
Yep.
could talk his way out of any situation. And it frustrated. There was this one guy, Todd Shuba. He was incredible, absolutely phenomenal. But he's that guy that put the work into it, right?
Yeah.
So he would get so upset, and he'd throw out things like, "Judge, he's trying to sell you a ketchup popsicle." That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Anyway, enough about me. About you. So let's talk about you got that competitive spirit. You found StarCraft. You like gaming, right? When do
Hmm.
you decide, hey, I'm taking this beyond just sitting at home and playing? When does it become I'm competing and making content or any of that stuff?
And that's kind of it's not even a sad answer, but it's at least for me, it's kind of a sombering answer for because I get asked all the time, and this is I swear I'll answer your question, but this is kind of also a segue. A lot of people ask all the time, like, how do I get into esports? I want to be a professional. I want to get paid to do that. Um, 99% of the people that I know that are doing that and are getting paid did not seek out to do that, myself included. I went to college, I played football, I worked jobs, and someone actually just dusted off my blog from 2010 where I was like, "Hey, I'm starting to coach in StarCraft because I'm a poor college student. I could use some money." Or no, I'm out of college at the time, but I could use some money. That was 5 years ago, and I
Hmm.
charged $10 an hour, and it's amazing the difference that even just 5 years make. But the answer to your question is it started to happen in 2007 when I won the U.S. National Championships for WCG. Um, but even then, it wasn't like I didn't. I That's when it started, but it was started before I knew that I was doing it. Like
Hmm.
I went down to Florida, I won the tournament, I won all kinds of prizes and cash. And then from that, I was invited to a reality TV show. I went to tournaments in New York. I went to the Pan American Championship in Mexico, which was my first international tournament absolutely at all, and it's just Mexico, so it still counted as far as I was concerned at 2007, and that carried me, until 2009 when EG approached Bryce Bates and said, "Hey, we're StarCraft 2's on the horizon, and we want to have a team, and we want to have a team before StarCraft 2." So Bryce and I were practicing together as well as a group of people,
Mm-hmm.
Louder, G5, and some others, and we made the team. And at first, they paid us nothing. They gave us peripherals, which we were over the moon with. We were just like, oh my God, we got a free keyboard. We're really making it now, guys. And the promise was that when StarCraft 2 rolled out, there'd be discussion of salary, which is the dream for any gamer. It's to be paid to play games. Are you fucking kidding me? So it was then 2010 when StarCraft 2 came out. And again, that's where it joins up. I started my blog because I was like, oh my, I need to make money to justify this livelihood. And EG is like, okay, it's salary time. How does $200 a month sound, all of you? And we were like, we did it. We made it. We're rich now. So we accepted that, and that's when it be. I mean, that's obviously the joke here is that that's not nearly enough to live off. That
Right.
doesn't pay any rent. That's maybe food for half a month. So, uh, you know, we also had to do other things, but we were considering ourselves semi-professionals. And when EG, there was tournaments and stuff like that. 2010 is when StarCraft 2 really hit it off, as well as Twitch. That's when it became something more.
So taking a step back, were you part of the creation of EG, or was EG already in existence and then they reached out to you?
No, Alex started EG a couple years before that as solely a Counter Strike team. Then they brought on Warhammer, or not Warhammer, excuse me. It's all over my brain. They brought over World of Warcraft, and then they brought over, I believe, God, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure they had fighting players before us. I think just Justin Wong, but maybe he came a little bit after. Anyways, it was close. And then StarCraft. So no, I didn't create EG at all. It's all Alex Garfield in that regard. But I am the last remaining original StarCraft player for Evil Geniuses.
Okay. So one thing I did want to talk about today was your future with EG and your
Hmm.
future in general in StarCraft in the esports. My first question is, you've been with EG for a long time now, and I think many would say that you have had a huge impact on how EG has grown and the organization they've become. I think many look at you as an extremely valuable asset, not only to esports, but specifically to Evil Geniuses. It's hard to think EG without Geoff Robinson.
Yeah.
So, do you have a position, an official title, and do you own stock in EG? Are you an officer in EG? Like, do you have any kind of role beyond just being Geoff of EG?
No, not really. I don't have any stock. I think one of the cool things about EG, and one of the I've posted about this before. One of the things that kind of saddens me the most is the misconception I would say of Alex Garfield is like on the outside he's like this gray suit evil, you know, Illuminati
Oh.
of esports. And to a lot of people, that's a reality. Like he is a pretty brutal businessman, which you have to be in any business. So for like other company owners, they've seen two sides of Alex: the side that's super awesome, friendly, trendy hipster guy,
Hmm.
and then they've also seen they're like, oh shit, that was really smart, and I wish I was that smart, or like, or envious of his success, that kind of stuff. But for me, he's just a down to earth, pretty fairly down to earth. By the way, you have to have some head at some point when you're having this kind of success. But he's like he really takes care of his own and his loyalty. So I have not had to fight for like reminding him because I agree with you to toot my own horn. I have helped EG quite a bit, and they have done an amazing job making me feel special and taken care of, and I'm so lucky to be so secure. So no, they've paid me really well at murky times like this where I'm kind of waiting for the next step because we got acquired by Twitch and everyone got these flashy new contracts with all kinds of security and integrity and stuff. And I still haven't gotten mine because we're kind of waiting on this big project that's coming up. And for a lot of people, and myself included on some level, that's super scary to not be fully secure and signed, and just be kind of floating in limbo. But he's taken care of me, and he's made it quite clear that he wants me to stay. And so that's the long answer. The short answer is no. I don't have any special title, anything like that. I'm just I'm a part of like some of the decision making for videos, just some. Mostly that's produced and created by our wonderful team. I just get to come in and say, no, I'm not going to go shirtless, you
Right.
know. And I have been asked, actually. I've been asked to be in my underwear before. I turned it down. I'm not selling my body for esports just yet, but no, no official role. I'm the unofficial slash official captain of StarCraft 2. I say unofficial just because that doesn't come with any kind of pay, or I don't have
Mhm.
a badge, nothing like that. But I am the captain of StarCraft, and um, that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you do seem to, well, you are very intelligent. You do seem to have a mind for business and an understanding of the industry. Have you ever wanted to seek a higher position within Evil Geniuses? Maybe transition from StarCraft captain to some sort of management role, you know, heading things at a higher level?
For me, I really love gaming, and I can't imagine doing anything like once you've, it's not even sipped the Kool-Aid. I've been bathing in it. I've been, you know, I was born into this Kool-Aid. You simply have dreamed it, or whatever that, anyways, for me, there's no other lifestyle that I would like to maintain. And right now I'm living a super charmed life. I'm essentially paid to be myself.
Hmm.
And anytime EG says, "Hey, we need you to come in and do videos," I'm like, "Yeah, okay, time to justify the paying." And otherwise, I just stream, play, and do shows and get the word out there about gaming, that kind of thing. So, um, has the thought crossed my mind to do more in gaming and step up and be a part of production, that kind of thing? Sure, but it's kind of like everything else for me. It'll be a necessity at some point that I do that because nobody's going to want to watch a 65-year-old man talk about StarCraft 4 and wear his favorite band's, tank top on a webcam type of thing. So at some point it'll become a necessity, but for right now it's not. And unless it does become a necessity, I'm perfectly happy where I am doing this part of gaming. The new big project that I swear I'm not announcing of an announcement. I've talked about this before, and I can't talk too much or really at all about it, um, because maybe it'll never happen. Because maybe nothing ever happens.
Right.
But that'll have me producing and editing and creating content, but as starring in it as well. So it's definitely on the horizon, and that's just a natural progression of a gamer that gets older. Um, you start off playing, I feel, and then you end up being the person that makes it so that other people can play. And I'm kind of the living
Hmm.
example of that, I guess.
Okay, so we have you in the role that you're in now. Let's talk about your transition into that role because you used to be the professional gamer, Geoff and
Hmm.
Control Robinson. So, uh, when did that start to happen? Do you miss when did that happen, and do you
Oh yeah.
miss competing?
This has been something I've thought a lot about because like I said at the beginning, I'm a very competitive person, and it's kind of well known that in StarCraft 2, my results were middling to low to bad. Is pretty. You could say that. My success came from being a personality. It came from being on the team. It came from like I said, some minor successes, and I was able to expand all of that kind of through my personality, really, but not even close to results. So it's something I've thought a lot about and worked on a lot, and I can tell you that the conclusion I've arrived at is gaming is pretty much a young man's sport, and it's not hand speed. It's not because there's pianists that play until they're 65. Like it's
Hmm.
not that at all. It is what occupies your mind, and I find that younger people that have the competitive drive and have the talent for gaming are going to be more successful because they're not worried about taxes. They don't have a serious girlfriend or wife that they have to take care of. They don't have kids, which I don't. They don't have the adult concerns that occupy their brain, and they have no fear. Like if they're on a big stage in front of 100,000 people, yeah, I'll be back next week probably, like I'm not worried about it. But as you get older, you're a little bit more aware of like, oh my God, actually this is the only time I've ever been here. That money could pay for everything.
Hmm.
The fame could launch and change my life. Like those are the thoughts that start to cloud your mind and slow down your reactions and create fear and anticipation and anxiety, that kind of stuff. Now, of course, this is not the rule. There's still older people that still win. But in individual competitions specific, which is basically just StarCraft, by the way, um, outside of like again fighting games, I suppose, where Justin Wong, who's like 76 years old, still wins everything. Um, I find that to be fairly true. So the transition, that's a murky way of answering. The transition for me was kind of like was again a necessity. It was like, well, I'm not really winning,
Hmm.
and if I'm going to competitions and that's going to justify my payment, then I'm not going to be super useful. And EG straight up had that talk with me where they're like, okay, well, this next contract, like, we're going to send you to competitions, but I need you to know players hate doing content and you're really good at it, so you got to kind of do that if you want to get paid. And I was like, yeah, yeah, that's pretty true. So I kind of took on that burden, if you will. But I love making content as well, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Um,
So you talked about uh, getting nervous as you get older.
mhm.
You kind of reevaluating that. Do you still get nervous at times when you go on stage or go on shows?
A little bit, but not really that much at all. To be honest, I've been on it like the first time I'm on several different ones, yes, and more. I still get nervous when I'm in like a hosting role where you have to memorize stuff. I'm
Hmm.
really bad at memorizing things. I have pretty, I don't have like horrific memory. It's just anytime I have to remember something super specific, like the exact name of a company or person, I have like a inbuilt insecurity that I don't know it correctly, and
Hmm.
I'm deathly afraid of saying the wrong thing, which is kind of funny because if you watch me on any length of time, I will misuse words quite often, and I'm an otherwise fairly eloquent person, but I'll just like flat out misuse a word. People are like, that's not what that word means, and I'll be like, you're correct. Moving on. Um, so that's me in a nutshell. I missed the answer though. What was the question? What was the quick?
The quick question was, do you still get nervous?
No, the one before that.
It was your transition into when you finally decided you were transitioning into the content creator and the host versus the professional
Okay, good.
gamer.
I was wrong. See, I just doubted myself. I did answer that. Good.
You did.
I thought you asked something else and I was on a long tangent, which happens to me too,
Oh,
so I apologize.
it's all good. All good. So I want to take advantage of a situation. If you can answer this, have you
Yeah.
ever talked in depth with Jadong about play strategy, his mindset, things like that?
Yeah. I'm a huge, as well known, I'm a huge Jaedong fanboy and a couple times I've been extremely humbled by um how life has kind of put me in situations to be around extraordinary people, and I would consider him an extraordinary person, and probably more so than I know. The language barrier makes it kind of limited, but I've spent time rooming with him for tournaments like Homestory Cup and some others where he's just an extremely kind guy, and I don't know, I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers, but from my perspective, what it was is I think, in the Korean culture, age is a very big deal. If someone's older than you, you're supposed to give them a lot of respect. And I'm quite a bit older than he is, so I think he naturally just kind of he felt comfortable asking me for advice and treating me with that respect. And of course, for me, I'm like, constantly shaking with fanboyism. So when he's like asking me these questions, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Let me assume that role because I'm totally not, like worshiping the ground you walk on right now. But yeah, we've talked strategy. It's a lot of that's also because I understand the foreign scene and I know the players he's playing against, and he has no effing clue, right? Like if he's about to play this guy that's super cheesy, I'll tell him about that. And I watch a lot of StarCraft too, so I watch everyone's streams, I watch everyone's tournaments. So I'll tell him, okay, on this map, here's what they like to do, and that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
we go back and forth on that a lot.
So my question now, with that information, is I sometimes like to think, what is someone like Flash, for instance? What does he think of himself when he's going to sit on that stage? Is he thinking, "Shit, I'm Flash"? Like, there's a high expectation of me. I'm Flash, or uh, is he very humble? So what is Jadon like? Does he think about his Brood War time? Is that pressure on him, the expectation, his performance over the last year? Do those kind of
Yeah,
things weigh on him?
I think so because I think as a competitor, he's like the ultimate competitor. He just lives and breathes winning. That's what he cares about the absolute most. He was raised in the kind of the Kespa culture, which was just nothing but the game you're playing. Nothing. You were like if anyone knows the Warhammer universe, you were like a servitor to your game. You're just built into the interface itself, and that worked for young men,
Hmm.
kinda. But now that he's kind of, I would say, free of that, he still practices and competes at an extremely high level. But I will not make any lies about this. He absolutely is not working at it like he was in Kespa, and that's because he's enjoying life for the first time. He's living with his brother, or he was. Now he lives in the United States for StarCraft. Um, he travels, like when he goes to a tournament in Germany or somewhere else, he doesn't then, Monday morning at 6 a.m. he's flying back to Korea to go practice. He'll fly out Tuesday, Tuesday evening, and he'll spend Monday and Tuesday literally going out, eating at restaurants, seeing places, and experiencing the place. And he's just so much happier. He's working on his fitness, that kind of stuff. So he certainly cares. And when you ask what is his mindset when he sits down, that's the real gaming Jaedong. He sits
Hmm.
there and he's like a soulless monster that's just ready to consume. He's not as prepared, so he's kind of been dealing with failure on some level for the first time in his entire career. He definitely didn't win every game in Brood War, but it was always him and Flash, him and Stork or something.
Hmm.
But he was one of the top four. It was kind of weird when he wasn't there. That was the story. Whereas in StarCraft 2, it's more like a, yeah, Jaedong did it. He might win this one, but he hasn't won a bunch of them. And there's those moments those soul crushing moments when I've gone in there in that booth and he's bawling his eyes out for 2 seconds, and then he gets himself under composure and presents, public Jaedong as well, the one that can't be rattled. So it's an amazing thing to watch and to experience, and I'm so lucky to have one of the best seats in the house for it.
Awesome. Hey, how is he doing now? Settling in? Is he excited? Is he happy about WCS?
I haven't seen him, but from what I gather, and kind of going along the story, Jaedong is in a position in life where he doesn't do anything he doesn't want to. So I'm going to make the assumption that he's super happy. And um, like I said, I've been to a few international tournaments with him, Sweden, Germany, and other places, and I think he really gets excited about experiencing the different cultures. The challenge for him, and having lived with Koreans like I have, is America is really nice for Koreans for like a week or two, and then after that, they really start to miss home. They have very different food there. Um, they're around people that speak Korean. The list goes on. They're just
Hmm.
much more comfortable at home. Um, so it'll be interesting to see if Jaedong maintains that optimism and happiness, and I hope he does. And he has the attitude for it. Like he loves experiencing places. He wants to learn English. He loves his English fans, and he also knows this is his best place to try and compete in StarCraft, which is a big deal for him. So we'll see. I guess the short answer is the jury's out on that.
Okay. All right. Now let's get a little more personal. We're going to kind of go back a little bit. So you've moved on from being the competitive person. Now you have a wife. So I
Mhm.
imagine that getting away from the competition, having to practice so long, it definitely helped your relationship with your wife.
Oh yeah. I mean, Anna's incredibly supportive of gaming, and I think that's in a larger picture and way, that's absolutely essential for a successful relationship or marriage. Is that both people have to really support and love each other. Obviously, that goes without saying. It's on like a million cards and some pictures on walls, but it has to be really true. Like I know people that have relationships where their gaming is like an escape. They're stealing time away. Like, oh God, she's gone this weekend. I can finally play my game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure those marriages and relationships can work and probably do, but it's not ideal and it would suck, in my opinion. For me, competition was something that Anna was hugely supportive of. She was just amazing. Like at competitions, she knew that I was super intense, so she would try to calm me down. She'd try to help me. She would get water. She would feed me. I'd do entire terms without eating because I just would only think about gaming. And then, of course, that's not good because your brain's not working at maximum
Mm-hmm.
capacity. You're crashing at the end of it. It's just not healthy. So she helped with a lot of those kind of things. And if a tournament was coming up and I was in ultra practice mode playing 12 hours a day, she did not make me feel guilty about that really because she knew that was super important to me and she supported it. And the kind of cool thing about that is now in the post StarCraft competition world for me where I'm not competing, I'm playing to sharpen my casting skills and to stay involved. Warhammer takes up my competition. Like if I didn't have Warhammer, I wouldn't be me. I need competition. And even Warhammer, which is, we call them space dolls for men. Like they're little action. They're not action figures. They're models. But to a lot of people, they would be really silly and nerdy. To me, it is competition. It's super important. She doesn't even bat a frickin' eye when I'm like, "Hey, I'm heading off to Chicago to play a Space Dolls game with my friends," and she's like, "Cool, good luck. It's amazing. I want to hear about it." Like I am so incredibly lucky to have that kind of support in my life. So, um,
So you guys,
the transition wise, she's been just amazing.
so you guys are both heavily in the spotlight. And I believe now she's going into Heroes of the Storm content, and
Yeah.
she hosted at BlizzCon. Um, with you both being in the public eye so much,
Mhm.
how does that affect your relationship?
There is a there's just a trial by fire that everyone has to go through. No matter I don't know. It's not as definitive as I guess I would say it, but for me the experience has been there is just a period of time where it's amazing and it's certainly more amazing than it sucks, but it also sucks because everything you say and do is public and scrutinized and there's just people that want to hurt you just to hurt you because they want a reaction. A lot of people. And in that period of time, it's super hard. And both Ann and I went through that. Mine was again like the 2010, 2012 era, where I would say I slunk to as low as like depressions. Just terrible. Anna's been handling it quite a bit better, I would say, but she too has had periods of time where she's just like, this person said this super mean thing, and we've kind of helped each other get through it. But now in our kind of wizened old esports period of time where we're both in the spotlight, it's like a I think we both know that it's not going to be probably not forever. It might be. Maybe we live our entire lives as personalities. Who knows? DJ Wheat's paving the way, so I guess the answer's kind of out on that. I'll wait and see. But it's fine. We're comfortable with it. We are used to it, and it doesn't really like we offer each other support. I think where we need to, and that's really important as well. I think that's kind of the cool thing because we're both in that situation. We both know what it's like, and we can help each other. I guess.
Going into this, I wanted to definitely get the more personal side because we see a lot of the
Yeah.
esports side of Geoff, but it's actually kind of hard to gauge your relationship with your wife because we don't really see a lot of it in the public eye. So I'm
Sure.
curious: is that intentional? Do you guys go out of your way to not show your personal side too much on social media?
Um, I think it's more just personality based. There are some people that have relationships in esports that very actively keep it out of the public spotlight, probably for the better because if they're just boyfriend girlfriend, if it doesn't work out, they don't want to have to answer to the 1 million people that are like, she was so much hotter than you. How could you ever break up with her? And like it's like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
that sucks. For us, it's more just like I'm not the kind of guy who's gonna tweet out every day like a black and white picture of Anna sleeping and be like, all right, luckiest guy in the world. Like, I know that, and I tell her that, but I don't need to put it out publicly. But we don't have conversations or anything like that. Anna hates it when I make my inappropriate jokes about her and stuff. Like, she asked me to go get, she asked me to go get tampons at the grocery store one time. Obviously, it's never going to happen again, probably. And I just tweeted out, like, best husband ever or something like that or like something like I said when my wife asks you bet your butt I'll do it anything for her it's like it's a box picture of tampons and it got like 300 likes or something like that or favorites or whatever and she's just like we didn't like fight about it she didn't yell at me but she's just like Geoff she's like why do you do that and so we did I don't know
Yeah.
that's the long answer the short answer is there's no plan for us to keep it out of public when it's there it's good uh personally, we actually like to kind of try to be role models for people, and we think we have a really wonderful and awesome relationship. So we do put some of it out there, and some people ask us and talk to us about it, and we think it's a pretty good example of two supporting, loving people in the same industry that are not just surviving but thriving. So it's important to us to put out there a little bit so that people can see that it is possible.
Hmm. And I'm glad to. So from the sounds of it, that things are really good between you two.
Oh yeah.
Looking towards the future, kids, is that something that you guys are looking for?
Yeah, it's definitely it's interesting the ebb and flow in life and marriage basically. When we first got married, I was like, I have to make a child, and Anna was like, well, I'm not sure I want to make a child. I know I want to raise one, but maybe adopt. And to me, that was like a super kind of weird, not weird, but like
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that kind of concept. So, um, and through our marriage, those answers have changed. But the short answer now is yes, we plan on having kids in some capacity, but we want to be living closer to home in Oregon and Seattle to raise those kids.
Hmm.
But right now, our job has us anchored to California for at least a couple or a few more years. So that answer might change as well, but it's an open discussion dialogue. We don't have like a firm like Anna will be pregnant by 2019 type of thing, but
Hmm.
we just keep talking about it.
Okay. So talking future, we've talked about, your future with your wife, your future with Evil Geniuses. Let's talk about the future of Geoff Business Esports.
Hmm.
Have you given thought into what you want to do? Would you want to start your own company, a consulting? You're in the industry. You're big enough in the industry now, and the industry is young enough that you're pretty much set as you move forward. I would argue that to be one of the top personalities to really transform the industry as it goes into the mainstream, which definitely would set you up very nicely for life. Have you thought about that and where you want to take that, or are you just taking things slowly?
Um, yeah, I think maybe it's not the best answer, but it's been kind of a reactionary lifestyle right now. I don't have a master plan, excuse me, to own my own company or something like that in the future, but I definitely am in position to perhaps make that leap if I wanted. Right now, and I swear, well, they are paying me, so maybe you'll never know if I was paid to say this or not, but I do bleed blue. Like I'm very proud of something you've touched on of helping make EG what it is now, which is big, if not the biggest and most successful kind of esports company as a team. And again, people maybe they'll fight that, be like, no, 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 this other team's had more success. That's fine, but business wise and as an organization, we are super secure. We are paying dozens of kids to play and live out their life in the way exactly the way they want to. And I was a big part of that, so I'm super proud of that. So as long as I can do that, I will. But I'm also I've put this out there pretty heavily. I look to DJ Wheat as kind of the pathfinding, trailblazing, wizened old leader. He wouldn't like that last part. As a person that's like he still hops on shows and yells and talks about gaming. He does Dungeons and Dragons with his friends, online and gathers a crowd. I am very interested in the livelihood of, but also his full time job is Twitch, which is like much more full time job than I
Hmm.
thought he would be doing. It's actually very behind the scenes, very technical, interpersonal, going to conventions, that kind of thing, as opposed to just like he's in a room and they're like, "Yo, we need you to do a show," and he's like, "Okay." That's kind of what I am actually.
Hmm.
So I could do any of those things, but right now I'm just happy to be where I'm at.
Okay. And I think we're going to wrap this up with our favorite game in the world, StarCraft 2. So we're moving into the legacy of the void. The beta is being patched. It's being
Mhm.
updated. We're watching it evolve, and at the same time, we still have Heart of the Storm going. And to beat the deadest of dead horses, the life of the game, right? Do you see Blizzard taking steps towards longevity, whether or not they've announced them? Do you, in the back end, even if you can't talk about it, do you have a gut feeling that they are taking good steps towards making StarCraft a bigger, better, and a meaningful game for a long period of time?
I think the intention was always exactly that, was to set up a framework that would keep StarCraft at the forefront for years to come. I think unfortunately WCS is a big part of the reason why, especially it's at its inception, that StarCraft has been struggling. I think WCS killed a lot of the excitement for individual leagues, for individual tournaments. I think you could fairly say it was the silver bullet that killed NASL. It's a big part of the reason why MLG is not a part of StarCraft 2 for right now. Um, I think what it did to the scene in terms of individual streaming and really squelching that also murdered a lot of the ability for StarCraft to go into the future. I think since its inception, they've improved WCS tremendously to where if this is where it was when it first came out, I think our scene would be huge. I think it'd be a lot better than it is right now. Do I think it would rival LoL or Dota? No, but it would be a lot more vibrant and healthy and strong, and maybe it would. I've been I have a very conservative mind, so maybe it's beyond my imagination. Um, so that's kind of the sad and dark answer. The truth is yes. I think their plan is to set up the game, and I think the big changes they made with Legacy of the Void kind of point in that direction. They're like, hey, let's shake it up. What do we have to lose? Let's make this game freaking hard and fast, which is what people want.
Hmm.
Let's give them super micro intensive capable units, and let's set it free. And and StarCraft 3 will come out in 5 years, way down the road. They're not anywhere near talking about StarCraft 3. They want Legacy of the Void to go for as long as it can before it needs another shot in the arm.
Right. So we see the other games though, like Blizzard's even acknowledging these models with Heroes of the Storm and I almost called it Hearthstone. Uh, the free to play, and then the individual purchases like the skins and all that stuff. I feel that Blizzard is definitely through those games acknowledging, hey, this is how we can run these games,
Yeah.
and those contribute a lot. First of all, the free to play model. Second of all, the interesting skins. Those contribute a lot to the desire of people to try the games. For instance, myself started in esports with StarCraft,
Hmm.
but I play League of Legends because it's free, didn't have to pay anything, and I try different characters out because they have cool skins. I've never played Teemo. This weekend I will be playing Teemo because I really want that Omega Squadron skin that pops up every time. So, I mean, it's that kind of thing. It works. And do you think that Blizzard is going to surprise us and show up with that kind of stuff at the launch of Legacy of the Void? Or do you think that that's a model that they're intentionally ignoring for StarCraft?
I've had conversations, and of course I can't share with who or details, but what I can share is that even out of that, my overall speculative personal opinion is that I think they will do something along those lines, and they've already kind of shown that. Like there are skins for, there was like a spring break one. There was,
Hmm.
there are skins available. There is funny stuff that they can do with the game. We had the holiday one. Everyone was wearing Christmas hats, which was like funny for a day, and then everyone after that was like, get it off. Um, I think there will be things like that. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near Valve level, where
Hmm.
basically CS:GO is like 50% the game and then 50% people just being excited about skins, trading skins, betting skins, that
Hmm.
kind of thing. Where, the growth of CS:GO, like I said, literally probably 50%, Sir Scoots might even argue more, is based on the skins of that game. And Dota, as I understand it, which I've never played, but watched a crap ton of, which is really weird. It's the only game I've ever done that for, is also very skin based, but that's kind of like the Valve model.
Hmm.
And I know that you can do it in LoL and stuff like that. There's all kinds of skins there as well. So it's very much so out there. And those are the three biggest games, right? So
Right.
I just all three of them have skins. That is impossible to ignore. And I've had conversations with important people at Blizzard where I'm like, yo, like this is something that would be so easy from my perspective, like so easy. And they're just like, oh my God, if only you knew. That would garner so much support and love and money and be good for Blizzard. Blizzard is very proud and very you could say stubborn about being like, well, they're kind of like they see themselves as the people in gaming. They're the ones that launch the biggest games and have the best ideas. And I think in the last 5 years, for the first time, at least for them ever, it's been pretty abundantly clear they're not. They have great ideas, they have great games,
Hmm.
but there are other companies, namely Valve, that is launching games that are doing exceptionally well. Riot, of course, and in order to adapt, you have to evolve, and evolving a lot of times is mimicking the successful. So getting in on that skins and getting in on the free to play model, like you said, we've seen a little bit of that with Hearthstone. Heroes has multiple, you can different mounts, different
Yep.
skins. Oh, that's interesting. That's doing, we'll see how that does when the game launches. Will it be in StarCraft? Maybe, but I've been told nothing.
Okay. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you, Geoff, for taking the time this Saturday morning to talk with us. Very happy to hear from you. Is there anything coming up that we're going to see you in? Anything that you can announce that we're going to see you in?
Well, I guess to the stream, like at 5 p.m. PDT today, I'll be casting Shoutcraft with Toll Biscuit. I've harassed him enough that I'm on the schedule for several of those. So if you're interested in my casting and his, I will be doing that with him. Again, his channel and 5 p.m. PDT. Otherwise, just as always, I've never said no to a StarCraft gig unless I had to do another StarCraft gig. So if I'm casting or something like that, you'll know. And just otherwise, I stream a whole bunch. Been streaming CS:GO yesterday, but mostly StarCraft.
Good, good, awesome. Well, hopefully we'll see you today on the Legacy of the Void ladder at some time.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Geoff. It's been great. Everyone, have a good night. Hi, everyone. I'm back. All right, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to take a couple minute break. I'm going to prepare the area right next to my desk for some food preparation. We're going to make cucumber sandwiches, and then we're going to make cucumber sandwiches, and then we're going to get back into some esports action. I don't know what we're going to do yet. Am I muted? Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Good. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do yet. I don't know if we're going to do I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know what we're gonna do. We're probably gonna do a little more StarCraft, little 1v1. I'm gonna do a little bit of League of Legends. Don't shoot me. Like I said, I have just plenty of passion to go around, but I'm trying to grind to 30 in League, so I might do that a little later. I know. Um, and then I think while I eat my cucumber sandwich, I'm actually gonna post this VOD to. I'm gonna actually cut it out, post it to YouTube, so the people not watching can at least enjoy the VOD. And so give me a second and check Reddit's. Hot ladder for 24 hours. I mean, I could do that. We'll do some hot ladder after this. Grind out some diamond level games. And that's it. So I'm going to put the break screen up. We'll put a be right back note. And then we'll make some fucking cucumber sandwiches. So give me a minute.